Oh, see there. It's not so yellow anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
Oh. Hi. So we were just checking out the screen. I'm wondering if your head's going to get cut off because you're like really tall. So yeah, scrunch down so that when
I'm still inside the frame though.
I know.
We're fine. It's completely fine. We have lots of room.
Okay, so we are look at it. You get a different view of the room today.
Yeah, totally.
This is actually a pretty good view of the room. I'm actually pretty impressed. Anyways, hi, Hillary Raven Porter here, and
Cosmic Messenger.
Yeah, Derek, and yeah, we are. No, is that? Yeah, 6. Yeah, it would be 6.
You got
7.
the session. I'm here to help. It's 6.
So this is the behind the scenes of the Tameana Antahkarana chakra scrub. We are giving and receiving, and this is the what?
Plane 6 focused.
Yeah,
Antahkarana magic.
Nej Mate. And so we're working. If you have not been following along, we've been going through the 7 planes of existence, the foundational planes, which are the 7 chakras, and then moving up to the Antahkarana, the Rainbow Bridge. So this is the second scrub. There is a foundational scrub, which we did not make videos of, but I think these are a thing now because we have more scrubs to do after this, after we recover from this scrub. By recover, I just mean
let it integrate and
integrate.
Align with it.
Yeah,
feel the frequencies, watch what it does, all the patterns that come up.
Yeah, because it's a lot of patterns.
Humans basically function on patterns. As much as we don't think we do, it's all patterns.
It's true.
Pattern symbols, light, geometrics, frequency, and sound.
Yep. That's true. And this week was so we actually that's funny. So during a session, stuff comes through, and this is me typing in case you didn't know.
Nice. You're all type.
Yeah, so we type or write out the stuff that comes through. So for the practitioner, the person offering the session, stuff comes through. For us, it's not always that way. For people that offer Tameana. So we talked about that, but we didn't actually talk about what the experience was like. We're just like, okay, video.
Yeah, good point.
So
I'm pretty good on the fly anyways.
Yeah, you're great. But it was just interesting we didn't like debrief ourselves first. So this week...
what went down for you?
So what I noticed was that this was very similar, and I'd commented on it this week during the session that I had, but... So this week, let me say what I'm going to say. This week we had... Did I mention it was this week?
One more time.
This past week. We were blessed with a gift. This lovely being is diving back into past life regression. And
from the Dolores Cannon train.
Yeah.
Like the originator of this modern method.
So I'd never had hypnotherapy. I didn't even realize it was hypnotherapy when it was offered. I was like, yeah, come on by, let's do some stuff. So Derek and I got a session, and I had...
It's like quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT.
Yeah, and so you go into this space, and Derek and I do a lot of work, as you know, we in the other dimensions, and so it had been commented that it was definitely a different situation working with us because of the work that we do, and in mine, I actually ended up tapping into my child's past life. And the why now. So the more will come of that later. I'm going to be doing a post about that later, so stay tuned for that. But what I had mentioned at the end of my hypnotherapy session, at the end of the past life regression session, I was like, this feels a lot like the space that I access when I'm doing sessions. So it's that off space. It's that completely open space, because at the end you get to ask questions. So you write down questions, and then the practitioner, so this lovely being, asked my subconscious these questions, and I was like, oh, so the subconscious is consciousness, not I'm conscious, like I'm awake, but it's consciousness, right? Like, oh, sorry. So it's like super consciousness. It's like super connected into the divine space. That's our subconscious.
Which exactly, which is the database of the Akashic records of yourself, but then it links to the collective, and then the collective taps into consciousness itself that allows us to even have any form of conscious activity. That's a whole lot of conscience.
Conscience.
So, and the theta, just wanted to put out, not theta, the hypnotherapy accesses the theta realms. They have a word for it. It starts with S. The practitioner showed it to me. I forget the word. I'd never heard it before. But what it does is it accesses the lower layer of theta and the higher one. Because some people go deep and out, right? And they almost feel like they're in delta, but they wouldn't be because they're spitting out stuff while they're partially awake, right?
Yep.
And then the other one is the upper, whereas we like tend to live in those two brackets.
Yeah.
Within those zones, right? So that's where it's accessing.
Which is crazy.
Within that bandwidth. It's super cool.
And that's what today on the mat, and I say on the mat because, so that's the table, the treatment table, which is usually here. Hence you get a different view today. But everything's shuffled around. And so I'm laying on the mat. Anyways, you needed to know that. But while I was laying there and while I was going through the process, and again, we were working our way up to crown just before we entered Antahkarana. I was like, oh, look. And I became conscious and then I was out once we hit Antahkarana, which we'll talk a little bit about that in a sec too. But I remember going, oh, this is a lot like when we were in the past life regression therapy. Same body sensation, same asuptoshika, I'm going to say gap space in the brain. So it just feels like this expansiveness in the brain. So that was the one. I
felt it was basically like just kind of pulled you in, and then if you're awake or not consciously, it just information starts spilling out of me. Yeah. It just came. I couldn't stop it from happening. Yeah. Though I felt like I was in total control. Yeah. Super interesting. Back to Tameana.
More about that other stuff later. I will be
cool.
sharing about the other stuff later.
So that like spills into our sessions because we're always doing so much.
And so that was a good realization of like, oh, this is the space that we're accessing in here. By in here, I mean the spirit room and sessions.
So how'd the energy of the room feel for you today? Was it heavy? Was it light?
Oh, for me, I thought you were saying, so dense? Today, how do you guys feel?
The room, like, because I felt a shift. This one, usually it's like filled right up. Yeah. Super dense, but really light and elevated. This time it was just very calm. Yeah. Not dense at all. Yeah. On any level whatsoever.
Well, that was one thing this week. So
light and easy.
So that was one thing that was worked on a lot in the past life regression stuff, was this like density that is within my being, at least for my session. And that's the one thing that I've noticed some of the release of, is that density through the patterns that we accessed and the messages that came through. The other thing that happened this week is my Kamael, Archangel Kamael, or Soma B104 came in, which is all about heart and levity. I am going through my Uranus opposition. And I am also doing clear over clear or Soma, which is super intense. Like, basically picture it like grabbing all your sludge and just like clearing it. And I'm going to straight up say it's hell sometimes on the projecting end, and I know on the receiving end.
It's the strongest bottle in their system. Bottle. It's the strongest potion and alchemical transformation bottle substance you put on your body that I've ever witnessed before.
So that, and then that's why I got the Archangel Kamael. So those things, I think, added for myself, have added to the session of how this like clarity. But you'd also commented before we came into the session, and I've experienced this as well when doing the sessions, about how the guides will just be like, just start with the Antahkarana. So we start with the guiding symbol and we work up the 7 planes, the chakras, and then when we get to the top, the guiding symbol moves into the Antahkarana, and then we come down in a specific fashion. If you want to know more, training's coming soon. Just saying, keep your ears peeled. We got some training dates coming up. But as you're going up the Antahkarana, you're coming back down the planes of existence. And you had commented that the guides were like, just start at the Antahkarana, i.e. just start with the guiding symbol at Antahkarana. Don't even go up the foundational.
And it's all depends on where you're at, what you're working on, and who you're with.
Yeah. Well, for us.
Yeah, for
our
us,
session.
exactly. It's coming up quite frequently as well, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because we've been through the foundational
a lot.
So
Tons.
not only with the scrub, but we also do. I'll be like, hey, let's do a quantum cycle, which is a set of 4, and then it's okay. Now we're gonna do this, and we work with Tameana, all the time,
regular basis,
and so our foundational stuff is pretty scrubbed. So they're like, but we still go through the full process. That's the thing. We still go through the full process.
Oh yeah, it'll happen anyways.
I've had it with.
You gotta get tune-ups.
Exactly, right? Just like, there's this, things hide.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had it with, when I've had people on the table and they say, they're like, just start at the Antahkarana. And I'm like, okay, guys. Because the guides also get excited. They love when you're like accessing that, like,
because that's where they live.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we can't wait till we get there. We like that stuff, but oh, it's like, they're just, they're like, it's like cotton candy.
Yeah. Did you have any other experiences that came up that you'd like to share? If not, that's okay too.
I had to pee.
Mm-hmm. So you don't. So you don't recall anything occurring. You were out.
But that is something to actually take note of as well. So I see that the guy. Besides the fact that I tend to have to use the washroom a lot, this also came up with the past life stuff, and I've had this in sessions where pins get put in me. I see an acupuncturist, and all of a sudden, in like 2 minutes, I'm like, I need to use the washroom, and it's not because I've drank a whole bunch of water. Sometimes I don't even drink a lot of water before a session intentionally. One of the ways that you can process a session, you get your sweat glands, right? You go out, you're like, oh, I'm stinky, because you processed. Another way is through peeing. You pee out the metabolites. That is an elimination pathway. So all of a sudden, your body's pulling out water, but it's pulling out all the stuff with it, and then you're releasing it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So it's not always about drinking fluids. It's which you need to do afterwards, but that's how you're processing the metabolites.
Mm-hmm. Anything else come up? Messages, insights, cosmic information? Well, I wrote down one of the messages that came through was numerology 3 with a 1. Ooh. So we need to go look into that as well too. There was wingmaker frequency. Just so people understand a little bit, I'll do a very quick one. You have your body, your chakras, right? And then you have your light body that attaches to that. Your aura goes around your light body. Then your Merkaba attaches to your light body. And then the wings, the wingmaker frequency, is on the outside on the back.
And you can access that through Tameana, apparently.
Tameana. All of the above can come up.
Esoteric acupuncture.
And Reiki.
So, like, you need some wings. We got you. Are you looking to implant some wings? Have we got you covered?
That's awesome.
Which is also, hey, I'm gonna shamelessly plug this one. Reiki training.
Oh yeah, I just launched them.
Also coming up, so check out the dates.
Mm-hmm.
We can put links.
There's a whole bunch coming up from March until May for 1st level and 3rd degree Reiki, in person and distance. I redid all of my packages, the handouts that you get.
Yeah.
So you get printouts when you're distance. You'll get them when you're in person. You can open up in your browser if you don't have a printer. They need to be there and accessed. They're amazing, like 200 plus hours.
It's good. So wingmaker frequency.
Yeah.
There's ways to access this, right? So so you found the wingmaker frequency, came up.
Yep. Stuff like that. We worked on some of the etheric planes as well. And then there was also, for a lot of people this can come up, but it's embodiment of your physical vessel right here, this avatar, in the celestial plane. Which is very much a mental sphere. But we're on a celestial planet. And doing Tameana Antahkarana, you're mixing so many together. So when you have the root mixing with the third eye and some of the master symbols, those things can come up.
And that, again, was support of the processes this week. Because during the past life regression, I was like, we were sinking back and back and back and back and back. And then, there's the process. And at one point, I was like, I don't like my body. And not that I don't like my body. It's that I'm uncomfortable in my body. And I've been asking about health things that I have. And it became very clear that a lot of the stuff is because I have a hard time being in this clunky body because I'm so used to not being in this kind of body. Does that make sense? So it's not that I don't love my body.
It's the dimension, the density, the intensity.
The restriction of it, like, it just... And I was like, oh. Bing! And so this was a support. There was a lot, I feel, that was a support of this session of... It was like tying up the loose ends from this week's other things.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's a lot of words of support and of like, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing what you need to do. You'll be well taken care of. Which is helpful.
It's all about pointing your mental sphere where it needs to go and why you want to hold it there. And we say that that's easy, but try holding on to a mental thought for more than 5 minutes when you're not meditating.
5 minutes? That's
right.
Forever.
No, I know.
That's for like, say 1 minute.
No, but right. So like, think about how hard that is. Well, I manifest wherever I go, but most of us can't even do that. I don't do it either. It just goes off. So the idea is to bring in that thought, even if it's for 5 seconds, as many times as you can during the day.
With the mantras.
Regularly. You can use mantras, affirmations. You can just focus your attention on that and nothing else. It doesn't have to necessarily be words.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've learned, so I'm just sharing it to everybody, is after we passed 2012 and everything shifted, saying words out loud instead of thinking them. Before that period, thinking moved faster. Now it's speaking them out loud.
It's a vibrational field.
But it's also being comfortable. Imagine saying a wild affirmation out loud. Yeah. Right? In front of anybody wherever you're at. That's where humans are supposed to go, so that's part of the natural dialogue.
Well, and we had such a restriction on the throat. Before 2012, like that, if you look at the timelines, it was like massive restriction, which we're back into that space now of like, don't speak your truth, don't speak out against somebody.
Because it holds more power.
Because it holds more power. Because people were speaking up, and now they're just like, squash, right? And so that's throat chakra.
That's brilliant what we just came up with. To be honest, that's serious business. It's interesting that the two are happening at the same time.
Right? And the throat, so that's our throat chakra, because when we speak, part of that is our expression, and depending what other chakras involved in that, so that will depend on where your root is. Is it from fear? Is it from family relations? Is it from ancestral heart? All of that. So, right? Because it's not just one chakra there. But the throat is the dominant chakra there. It's the most prevalent. So to speak causes that vibration. So if you're just thinking it, so if we stop, nothing, like, it's not vibrating. The second you start talking, it vibrates.
They want to hear the intention. They want to feel it come out of there. Who's they? The spirit realm. Yeah. They're co-creating with you. We very easily will share information about a brand name, a jingle, a celebrity happening. That's no problem to share that. But when it comes to true manifestation of the self, or an intention that we have, we kind of want to go over here in our little secret space over here because we got some space to do it. And I do that sometimes too. It's nothing wrong with having spiritual zone. No. We are comfortable to like get attuned and do that. But the idea is the future human is to have these things happening all day, every day, as regular dialogue.
It's like when Light Code comes out of the grocery store. Exactly. You stand there and I'm like, because it's okay.
It is okay. What's more important, talking about a Kit Kat bar or spitting out light code? That's healing you. That's shifting things.
Right? It's okay.
Something to think about.
Okay. But that's the training that we're untraining. That's the pattern that we referred to at the beginning.
It's all patterns.
Pattern that we're like, you know what? Plaid doesn't look good on me. I prefer flowers.
Exactly.
But now, how comfortable am I wearing those flowers? All right? Changing those patterns. Anything else?
I'm good. There's lots more. I can go for hours.
So much more. But in that expanded version of Antahkarana follow-up, so Derek will be next. So stay tuned for that one. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're curious, check out our other posts. Not mine yet. Mine's not out yet for the training. But for myself, if you were curious about Tameana training for yourself in person this time, online coming soon, send me a message, reach out. if you're looking for Reiki training, you can check out Derek's page, but also you can just reach out.
Cosmic Messenger 33 at gmail.com.
Well, I'll make sure to put all the links in the bottom. And yeah, just reach out, even if you're just curious. Yeah? Okay. Thanks for joining us
Thank
for
you.
Late Night Musings. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.